You are listening to the Marc Guzman podcast experience. Before we get started, just a reminder that you can find all of my available rental properties on my website at marcguzman.com. If you own investment property, click on the Owner Services section to see our complete list of services. Today's episode and tasting is sponsored by East Brother Beer. Located on Canal Boulevard in Point Richmond, East Brother Beer aims to provide the best beers brewed to create a classic style of beer with a touch of modern sensibility. I have been doing property management now for over 10 years. I have always enjoyed the challenges it brings and how natural it felt to me. But, like any profession, there's no one right way to do it. Today, my guest is Kenson Goo. He's the CEO and co-founder of RentZend, an app that lets property managers and landlords use the latest technology to keep track of their properties. Today, we talk about how technology has impacted property management both now and in the coming years. So, Kenson, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, and we're starting off this Friday the right way with a couple of beers here, and podcast should be a fun episode. And I'm excited here because you recently reached out to me. We've been having a few meetings together, Walnut Creek, and you asked me basically to help you on advising for your tech company, and I'm excited to really be a part of that. So I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity, and I think you guys have a good product. So, before we jump right into this, our beer sponsor, for the people that don't know, is East Brother Beer. So I hope you enjoy the beer. The beer is really, really
It's very
delicious.
smooth.
Have you tried it already?
Yeah. Great beer.
Yeah, it's really smooth.
Yeah.
And they're located out of Richmond because Richmond's got a lot of brewing companies popping up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah, I think they have 3 with plans to add in another 2 more brewing companies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So one thing I like to ask people when they come onto the podcast is, what has your attention right now? What's on your mind? So it could be a book, it could be music, it could be your company, it could be something that has your attention. What is it?
The World Cup thing kind of changed my attentions recently. If I haven't running the startup right now, my company, I'll be like watching the World Cups all day long. But I'm not, so I'm busy.
So you haven't even watched one game?
Oh, I watched a few games. It's kind of interesting.
Who are you rooting for?
I'm rooting for France. So,
Okay.
So it's kind of fun.
Is there a reason why France?
Because it has some of my favorite players.
Nice.
So it's been fun watching it, but now I'm just watching most of the highlights, not the entire games.
Yeah.
Because I'm busy with these startups that we are building as getting a lot of momentums.
Yeah.
And it has been fun, and we have more team members joining and more customers. And basically, the whole visions of the company is to helping real estate investors to able to solve their number one pain point, which is property management. Because that is the number one thing to get the real estate investments returns that you expect for.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it has been our focus. The company vision is built around to solving that issues, and at the same time helping a lot more property managers to get more clients and make more business and build customer base from there. So it has been a fun journey in the industry, and myself is real estate investors, and I'm going to share the experience why we got started and stuff like that. And it's a fun story. So
I've got quite a few people over in that I know over in Russia right now for the World Cup, and it's very interesting. Like, I guess to get tickets is really difficult. It's like a whole lottery system.
Correct. Yeah, and I heard the story from my friends in China. Like, literally, like, there are many pupils like just cross the border to just go to watch the games. And a lot of people are literally want to watch the game, and it's exciting. And do you guys know that we're gonna host the World Cup like 8 years later? In US.
In 26, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's going to be spread across from Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I was cracking up because the whole FIFA scandal that they they came. I think it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. The whole FIFA scandal.
Yeah.
And all the corruption and just everything going on, and actually that's something that's they put so much pressure on the countries that host to spend so much money into hosting the World Cup. And then you have all these countries. Brazil is a very good example of what just happened, where they built all these stadiums that are never used ever again.
Exactly. And the people there are still suffering, right, with low income and doesn't have the health care that they need and everything. And so hopefully, besides the we're moving forward with the scandals, and we don't have the scandals anymore, and there's less corruptions, and we can make the games more fun for everyone.
Is there less corruption right now? Did they fix? I don't think they really fixed it all, right? That's
an interesting part. Yeah,
there was a comic. I don't know if it was Samantha Bee or it might have been Samantha Bee on TV. She was talking about the FIFA World Cup, and she was saying something like, "Oh yay, now we forgot that they're fully corrupt, but we're excited. We're gonna host it."
Correct. Yeah, well, hopefully we did not commit any corruptions to just get us to able to host it here. So I think if there's a corruption going on, maybe the other country who has deeper pockets, like China, could able to maybe.
Yeah, I guess like going through a whole bunch of shell companies is what some of the top FIFA execs were getting paid off to basically vote in favor of certain countries to host it. So but yeah, some of the highlights have been amazing. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat trick in that first game.
Cool.
Yeah, and then he scored another goal, his fourth one, in the second game. So right now, I believe he's got 4 goals, and I think the record for the most goals scored in World Cup is like 7, right?
Correct. He is on fire. That's amazing. And the thing is, I love about him is his work ethics. Like his personal life, I'm not really into that. I'm not digging into that.
Yeah.
But his work ethic is amazing.
To be at that level, you have to be extremely talented and extremely hard worker.
Correct.
And just over and over, just practicing and just becoming better. And you can tell some of the moves and some of the shots, I mean, it's just a whole different level above and beyond other players.
I think that applies a lot in real estate investments and also the business itself too.
Yeah.
Right? I'm assuming that, I probably think that the way you run the business and everything, you keep on improving your processes and keep on improving yourself so they can provide better experience and services to your clients.
Yeah.
So
now you're the CEO of RentZend. So
right.
I want to get a little bit into your company here, and just briefly, let's if you can tell the listeners and the viewers how you got into this tech world and how you ended up starting the company. Like, and it's funny because a lot of people who go into the tech world that want to start a company, a tech company, are not usually thinking about a property management software.
Yes, yeah.
So how did you end up where you're at today?
Well, so I am a computer science graduate and moved here and work for big tech companies, and also I started invest in real estate about 5-6 years ago. And it's hard at that time, and I invest in California and also out of states. And my first impressions of being an investor, a landlord, is like you're seeing all this money flowing in passively, right? So that's my dream, and so I bought properties and expect that to be that way. But the truth is, it's not, right? You either have to manage the properties yourself, or you have someone to manage it for you. So it's like no-brainer, right? I don't want to manage the property myself, so I got to hire a few property managers to manage my properties, and it shouldn't be that tough, right? But it turned out to be a quite interesting experience because I got property managers who kind of like scam on me by charging me things that never been done. It was crazy.
You know, that's the crazy thing about this industry. I think 90% of all official property managers should not be in the business because they're just not good.
That's exactly
and
right.
There's a lot of scams that happen, which is crazy to me. And it goes unreported.
Exactly. And I have a funny story to share with you. I have a very good friend. He lives in Tennessee. and he was hanging out with property managers. Like not telling, he doesn't tell him that he's investors. So just having a beer and just start talking. And this property manager, let's call him Sam. So Sam was like, after a few beers,
Not Sam, our producer.
not the Sam producer. So this Sam was like, it's like, you know what? I make so much money in property management. I don't know why people say it's not a good business. I make so much money. I mark up on the repairs when there's a repair, and then I charge the landlords on this and that, and they don't know about it. And I make so much money. It's good business. Then Sam was like, oh gosh, like this guy is kind of like a scam in this industry, and it actually happens a lot. We thought that it's just like one-off kind of incidents.
No,
but
it happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and it's so hard to find a really trustworthy one.
You see that a lot with management companies that charge like 3 or 4 or 5% management fees per month. And then what they do to make up the difference of what they would normally charge is they mark up repair discounts.
Correct.
Now, here's a tip for California listeners. In California, if you're a property management company and you're going to mark up repairs, so let's say a repair comes to $100 and you're going to charge an extra $20 on top of that, you must have a contractor license. If you don't have a contractor license, you're violating the law right there.
Correct.
So that's what a lot of people don't know, is that your management company has to have a contractor license if they're going to be marking up repairs. And most of them just... no one knows that, and a lot of them get away with it.
Exactly, and the landlords doesn't know about it, right? They doesn't know about the markup is there too.
Yeah, because a lot of invoices come from the management company on their letterhead with no receipts whatsoever.
Yeah, so I was like in this kind of situation and looking for solutions, and there wasn't a great solutions. Like a good management company like Marc you are running is very few and far between in many other areas. And if you want to invest in a new area, for example, you want to invest in Virginia, hoping that Amazon new headquarters is going to be there, like who is going to manage your property? Like you're going to run into the same problem.
Well, I'll give a shout out right now. Yeah. If you go to Virginia and you need a property manager there, probably go with Dodson Property Management.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Just in case anyone has a property in Virginia.
That's good. Yeah. But in other area that I want to invest in, the number one question also come to mind is like, who is going to manage the property? Like someone that I can trust and a system that I like to use, right? A lot of the companies, some of them doesn't use software, and some of them use software, but you have to ask them for pictures, then they will text you blurry pictures. And I have property manager who texts me the pictures saying, tell me that they inspect the property. But I look at because I'm a tech guy, I look at the metadata of the pictures. That picture was actually taken a year before, so he actually wasn't there.
Wow.
But he's sending me the old pictures and telling me that he was there. So it's like, there's a lot of problems in this industry. And I'm a developer, software developer. I used to be a lead developer for big tech companies, like leading 12 developers in $100 million revenues projects. And I want to solve this problem because it's fundamental number one issues for any investors. And that's why we built RentZend. So basically RentZend is a mobile app that comes with a property management marketplace. And we have a local vetted property managers on the system. So as a landlord, investors, you can just hire anyone through our platform, and you will just monitor their performance through our app. And you can see how soon they respond to the maintenance requests and all the conversations. And when they are at the property, inspecting the property, we locate their GPS location, make sure they actually did that. And they take picture, we timestamp their photo. So we make sure they are accountable to their management process and practices. And make sure they follow the local rules and regulations too, because that's the one important stuff. So we factor all this into the software to automate the process for the managers to make their life easier. At the same time, make the landlord has a peace of mind going forward, because now you can monitor your investment property on the app, no matter where you go, no matter where you are. And it's just greatly solve all the pain points that I personally have and my friends have. And I think it's a great solutions that we should make it as a company and then give these solutions to everyone so that anyone can invest easily and at the same time able to invest without worrying about how their property is actually doing.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if someone wants to self-manage their property, they can do it through the app
Correct.
too, right? They don't
Yes.
have to have a property manager.
Correct. So we built the software, the app itself, so that it can be you can use it to self-manage yourself, and you get all these automations of the tools to automate the process. For example, a call comes in through the phone number, it can transcribe it, become text to you, so that if you're in a meeting, you can look at the text and see what's going on, and then schedule someone to repair the stuff for your tenants. And all these software automations we built in to save you a lot of time and let you focus on growing your portfolio.
Yeah, and even if you're not in the meeting, the value of being able to have a message transcribed, because that's the way I have our whole system set up.
Correct.
Because phone calls, number one, take too long, right? Between the phone ringing, the whole conversation, and it just takes too long. Whereas text messaging or email is direct, much quicker communication. Not only that, but you have a trail. You have a trail of the conversation and notes going back and forth. And that becomes very handy when you have to go back because someone is lying or making up something. Or if you have to go to court and need to present evidence to the courts, it's all right there. So documentation is key. So yeah, I mean that's
we built in the documentations part so that you get all this information handy. And as a self-managed landlord, you get that so that ongoing, you don't have to pick up the call directly from the tenants. It can route through the phone number we set up for you, and then it records down all the conversations, so you have a proof that you actually take care of the properties. And same thing for managers. And if you are a landlord who hire a manager, you can see all these conversations. You cannot involve in talking to the tenants because it will create some kind of like confusion. You don't want to do that. Yeah. But you got to see everything. So to me, it's a peace of mind. Like, you know that the property is well taken care of. Like before that, you were like getting a check every month, and you were like wondering, were the properties actually taken care of? Like, did my property manager actually went and inspect the properties? So it's like it could be your tenants like cooking meth in the properties and paying rent on time, and you still do not know what's going on because your property manager lied to you, and the damage goes to you. So it's all these kind of like issues that happen when I invest in properties that I want to resolve these problems for myself and hopefully for many of you guys could find it useful too.
Now, for someone using the app RentZend, they can also hire a property manager through the app, correct? Or at least find it through your network.
Correct. So
now, if you want to be a property manager or you're already a property manager, how do you get in RentZend's network?
So you can apply to become our network providers. In fact, even though we are early, we already have property managers making like $3,000 or more a month and growing on top of the buying and selling activities they are doing. So you can apply to our website and go to RentZend, ZEND.com, and then you can apply to become a property manager. And you have to key in all your informations like your license number and everything, and also if you have testimonials, you can send it to us. And then once we go through the vetting process, we'll bring you on board. And there's no charge to get started. That's the beauty of it. Like if you want to get started in a property management business right now, you have to pay hundreds of dollars for software every month. But for us, if you do not make money, we do not charge you. And our software is designed to reduce time in management for you, so you can focus on growing your portfolios. And we also bring clients to you. Like we bring like clients that come to using the RentZend when they want to use want to hire someone to manage the property, they can look up your profile and reviews that you got, and they will decide to hire you. Then you establish a relationship with you, and you grow your customer base. So it's a win-win situations for both parties, and we just want to bring the transparency to this marketplace that we create, so the landlords know who they are getting, hiring, and the property managers can grow their customer base and making all these recurring incomes every month through our platform.
Okay. Now, one thing I want to touch on and ask you how you did this, because you bought rental property.
Correct.
You started to go through the experience of being a landlord, right? So you start experiencing multiple management companies, maybe even managing yourself. And then you decide, I need to fix this problem.
Correct.
What were some of the challenges that you faced when you first started this? Or how did you get from the point of saying, I need to fix this, to then launching a startup company?
When I face the issues, I oftenly goes to all these meetups, like local meetups, where all the real estate investors hang out together. And
are those very effective?
Sort of. You kind of learn more, and also learn about what are the solutions for your problems, right? So my problem was I have these bad property managers that I cannot fire because I have a 1-year contract with them. I have to find a right way to fire. And they all, I was hoping for you should do this way and that way. But the answer I got was we all have the same problem. So it's and we all look at each other there's no solution for this. So, and then we were maybe we should partner up, and so that we can bring more properties to a property managers, the good one, to make sure that they take us seriously.
Yeah.
If not, if you are just one guy with 2-3 properties, they're not going to take care of you. Then we were
that's a smart idea.
Yeah, this is a great idea. But the thing is, it created some of the issues too. It becomes what if you want to invest in a new area? Then you have to know all these people before you can invest. And it makes it harder for people to get started in real estate investment. So you become a relationship-based business. It's not something that you can do for everyone.
Yeah.
So besides solving this problem, one of the visions of the company is we want to enable real estate investments to all to the general folks. Like right now, you need to know someone to able to invest, and that is wrong in my opinion. Right? Real estate investment is one of the good vehicle to grow your income and get the tax benefits too. You can have a write-off and everything, but it's not able to do most of the people cannot do it because they don't have the connections. So we want to solve this piece, the property management piece, so that we can, on top of it, we can start growing the business to enable people to eventually buy and sell properties to our platform too. And that enable them to able to invest from anywhere. Like in California, where we are at here, you want to buy investment property, you better have $1 million or $2 million sitting around. And it's not possible for everyone. But if you have maybe 20, 50K, you can actually invest in other part of the country and get about 15% of the cash on cash or 20% of cash on cash return, which is huge. But not everybody know how to do it because it needs connection and relationship. That's why we want to build RentZend to solve this problem and eventually enable more people to able to invest confidently without being scammed by myself. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. So when you started the company, what was the number one challenge you had starting the company?
Starting a company is fun and also scary at the same time because I was having a very high pay jobs. The pay in Silicon Valley for engineers is very, very high, and all these perks about free foods and everything was really, really fun. And it's not fun when you go home and you tell your wife that, honey, I'm going to start this thing called a startup company and we're not going to get this salary. And on top of that, we probably want to invest some of our money into this.
Oh, and by the way, 90% fail.
Yeah, exactly. That part I didn't say it.
You left that part
I
out.
left that part until we have a few cups of wines, and then I was just like sleeping it out, and it was scary, and on top of that, I have a 6-month-old boy at the time, and it was scary. You have a lot of expenses and everything, and also you start talking this idea with your friends, and also some people you met, and sometimes you heard people saying, no, that is a bad idea.
Yeah, you can't really talk when you have a business idea and you're confident about it, and then you decide to jump all in. You really, really cannot talk to people about that idea. Not because someone else is going to steal the idea, but because everyone is going to have an opinion. And there's so much negativity that goes around it.
Correct.
Like, it's just keep quiet.
Yes.
Head down, just start it and just do it.
Exactly. But at the same time, I was hoping to get some input, because I do not want to be like too biased about my idea. I want to get different people's input. And yeah, I heard about many like naysayers say no. And how I approach it is like, I take no as a no, which is great. But I want to dig in about their reason why it's a no. And it's kind of like applying the first principles thinking. Elon Musk talked about that a lot, like first principle thinking about why building a rocket costs so much. And then he nailed down all these like part, how much it costs to make. And then he said that I can make like 1/10 of the price of the current rocket price out there. So
well, with him, I mean, and yeah, that's a good example.
Correct.
But with Elon Musk, he basically said, why can't we just reuse these rockets?
Exactly.
And people were like, well, people have already tried.
Yeah.
You can't do this.
Exactly.
People have already tried.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you haven't tried it my way, so it's worth a gamble.
Exactly.
And look what he's done with it.
Yeah. So when you hear all these people saying no and everything, trying to understand what are the reasons behind it and apply the first principle thinking of analyze their reasons about it, and then you will get a different perspective and trying to understand whether their perspective is correct or maybe some kind of risk that you should think about. And those are the things that I feel very, very helpful during the process of finding the market and also the target audience for our products.
Yeah. Now, there's going to be a lot of listeners or viewers that listen or watch this episode, and I know a lot of the people that have rental properties. I would say probably 50% of the people out there that own rental properties self-manage it themselves. They
Correct.
don't have a property manager. But I know a big chunk of them get frustrated with property management, yet they don't take that leap to find a good property manager. So in your opinion, what's the one key thing they need to look for in a property manager when they decide to jump out there and, see if they can find someone to manage their property?
I think most of the people when they buy properties, especially the first few, they kind of like take it as their kind of like personal hobby and treat it as a personal hobby, and they do not think them as investment properties. And I go through the same phase, right? You bought them with your money, and you want to make them great and you want to manage it them yourself. But you shouldn't do it because those are your investment vehicles. And you should look at them in a way that as a portfolio. So you want to grow the number of properties you own so you can generate enough passive income so that you can retire early without worrying about all these money issues. And when you look at for property managers, you are looking for a partner for your business. So you're thinking about everything is a business. When you're trying to decide whether you need a property manager, is the mindset of switching from a hobby to a business person. And when you look for a good property manager, you want to look for one that for sure is accountable and trustworthy and have a great systems that they are using so that you can check on what's going on with your properties. And at the same time, they should have the mindset of helping you achieve your goals. What is your goal? Which is getting the maximum ROI and make sure that the tenants are happy so that they reduce the vacancy rate for you, and at the same time they actually follows the local rules and regulations, so you do not get like crazy fines by the cities or counties for the things that they are supposed to do but they did not. So you're looking for business partners, and you cannot do it all by yourself. So you want to find someone who can do it for you, and then your job is focus on growing your portfolios. And you can use RentZend for it. So we're building features so that you can see how much equity you are growing, how much revenues you are getting, how much expenses you are getting, and you can project how your retirement is going to be by just using our app. And you can hire people who are trustworthy on our platform to manage it for you.
Yeah, I think when I first started doing property management about a decade ago, one of the mistakes I did, because I was brand new into it, but I saw an opportunity to start taking on a few management clients, and I was probably managing 5 single-family homes, right? So nothing big, but it was nice because you start building up monthly income coming in, right, as a property manager. But at the time when I first started, I really just looked at it as, okay, I'm just managing property and I'm managing it for these clients. But then as I got more and more into it, the one thing that really came to mind is, well, how do I improve the performance of the property? How do I help them make more money? If I help the client make more money, I make more money. And then are they going to keep this property forever? What's the next step? Are they going to go for 1 unit to 3 units, 3 units to 10 units? Like, what is it? So that's when I started to really dive into the world of property management and really started to learn everything that happens. And recently, with the opening of my new company and partnering with 2 commercial brokers, seeing the entire corporate side of real estate investing is completely eye-opener. And so it's pretty neat. I mean, it's a very complex world when you start diving into property management and also asset management.
Yes.
2 completely different things. And that's one thing I explain to people. Property management is one thing. Asset management is a completely different other thing. But the fact that we do both can complement both property and asset management.
Exactly. When you start thinking about that way, and finding persons like Marc is huge because they think in the business way. They're not thinking just like managing the day-to-day activities, but they're thinking of how to optimize the return for you. And optimize returns is basically involving also making sure you get the right tenants, and then like kind of like attend to their requests and make sure they are happy and stay longer and reduce your vacancy rate. And those are the key things. And you find partners like this is huge.
Yeah, I was just talking to, and I told you right before we went live, but talking to one of my business partners, David Pio, who's a commercial broker, and we're going to start working on putting together another podcast and also a visual show where we can sit down, pick a property that's on the market.
Oh, wow.
Pick a property and then actually analyze this property, and that way people can see what we do, how we calculate the cap rate, how we calculate all the expenses. And the problem with properties that are on the market is that many listing agents do not know how to properly market residential multifamily properties. And so there's a lot of data that's missing. So we kind of have to go through and put it together. How do you do that? That's what we want to show. And then at the end of the show, basically give people a perspective on, okay, here's from an analysis point of view, and then here's from a management point of view. And this is what creates, the data you need to make a decision as to whether a property is a good investment or not.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea. In fact, we also built some tools like this on RentZend, RentZend.
So let's talk about the tools, because we've got your computer connected to your email's up. So RentZend here. So rentzend.com. We'll go ahead and link it up in the description. Make sure people are. And actually, Sam, if you can right now, just go ahead and type in rentzend.com into the comments just in case anyone wants to click over to the website and kind of maybe follow along as they're doing this. But okay, so what are we looking at right now?
So
on
we
your
are
website?
looking. We have two free tools that you guys can use. Basically, one is for renter analysis. So you want to analyze a deal very quickly. So you want to figure out what is the tax, estimate tax, and how much the rent you're going to get. And another tool is the flip analysis tools.
Okay.
I'm going to just log out a little bit here. So I'm going to show you how you do it. Basically, when you analyze a property, there are a few criteria you need to look at. And we build this tool so that you can punch in just about any address in the United States. And I'm going to punch in a property that I'm looking at. Actually, the internet is working.
Yeah, it's connected.
Sorry. So you can punch in any property.
Okay, so you're looking up a property in Atlanta.
Yeah. So I invest in Atlanta area. So
Okay. How do you like investing in Atlanta?
Atlanta has its pros and cons. The pro part is very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is very landlord friendly, so you
Okay.
can evict people out very quickly, not like California.
Okay.
The cons part is some of the good areas getting more expensive right now, and also it's not a like you some of the areas you get pretty good rent, but some of the bad areas you're not getting that kind of rent. So you're looking at about 12%, 12 to 18% of return, which is great.
That's very good.
That's
yeah.
very good, but is the appreciation is not that great. You're not
Okay.
getting like California appreciations.
Okay.
So that's
So it's mainly cash flow.
mini crash
Yeah.
flow. So it's a
But that's
different story.
still a really good return.
Yeah,
I mean, that's better than a CD or letting money sit in the bank account.
exactly. So actually, I'm gonna just punch in another property. So this is one of the properties that I'm looking at. Is in the market for this price range.
So 284,000 is the
Correct.
price range.
Correct.
Okay.
And the estimated rent is about 1,600.
Okay.
So we build this tool. You punch in the address, it gives you the estimated cash on cash return,
And the cap rate.
and the cap rate too. So you can look at it. And for the audience who do not know what is 1% rule or 2% rule, 1% rule is like whether you get 1% of the rent of the purchase price every month. So like for a $200,000 property, if you get $2,000 rent per month, then you fulfill the 1% rule.
Okay.
And there are even some areas that you can get 2% rule, and I see that a lot in Ohio and those areas.
Okay.
So you get better cash returns. At the same time, you most likely get very less appreciations. So for the tools that we build, it pull out the data from Zillow and other source that you can kind of estimate the price that you want to bid for it. Let's say for this property, I think that it's going to be like around maybe 1,800 rand instead of 1,600.
I like how you have sliders, so it's very easy to just slide up and down. And,
Exactly. And then you look at the cash on cash return, 5% is nothing. So this is probably not a good deal. So you probably want to look at some.
It's better than San Francisco. San Francisco is about 3%.
Exactly. Yep. So this is not a great investment property, because the rent is too low and the purchase price too high. So you can look at what is the range of purchase price that will make you happy, and you can see the number change on the fly.
Yeah.
And you can set your vacation rate that you expected. Let's say you are in an area that might
Say
have a high,
5%.
5%, and you can see your number change on the fly. And whether you want to get property managers and the fees valley, you can just change it and see the returns of it. And we build out all these nice summary, the projections of your investments, and you can put on all these expenses in that. And basically, you can just analyze the properties very quickly, just by punching the address. And you can share with your partner. If you have spouse, you can share with your spouse or your partners who invest with you, and you can PDF it. So we built this tool so that you can kind of analyze the property very quickly, and at the same time, you have to be think about what is the worst case scenario. So this is the tools for you that, like, worst case scenario, if I have vacancy rate of 20%, how is my returns looking like? So those are the things that you should think. You shouldn't just think about the best case scenario, like you're getting all the rent on time, everything. You should think of like the worst case scenario and what kind of like the investments is returns going to be if you bought this property. Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have a flip analysis. So for flip, number one thing is you want to know how much money you're burning every day.
Yeah.
And how much, if like, what is the selling price that will justify your investment, right?
Okay. So just to clarify for the viewers and listeners, so rental analysis, basically, you can calculate your cap rate, cash on cash return.
Correct.
A flip analysis, however, is going to calculate if you're going to buy a property, turn it around, and then sell it.
Exactly. Correct? So rental analysis is buy and hold, and flip analysis is like flipping the house and make a profit. So we're going to just punch in the same property. Let's say we're trying to flip it. So we kind of like give you a kind of quick summary about what you should do. Like, what if you purchase the price at higher, and after repair value, let's say you think that it will go up to like 350.
Okay, so just for listeners, and I'm not sure how this shows up on camera, but there's a few sliders on this flip analysis, and you can basically slide left and right on the purchase price. You have the after repair value. You can select your actual sales price, cost of repairs, percent financed, which is really neat to see up there. Time for repairs and sale. That's another very important one because so I've flipped properties myself in the past, and I've dealt with a lot of flippers. And one of the big key factors that determines if a flip is very profitable or squeezing maximum profits is the time it takes to repair and sell. Because there's some people that will decide to do the work themselves to save money from paying a contractor, but the problem is they will take 6 months to get it done, whereas they can have it done, like all the repairs done in 1 month. Yes, you pay extra money, but you save 5 months of closing costs. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, from the market itself to holding costs, and definitely the time for repairs is a huge deal. So
it's a big consideration.
I'm glad to see that up there.
Yeah, so you have to estimate. So that's the same thing like the rental analysis. We build the sliders so that you can come up with what's the worst case scenario. Let's say all of a sudden, like, it takes longer to sell your properties. What happened to your profit? What happened to your other assumptions? Whether they're going to be justify this, you going to like do this deal is very important that you understand what happened in the worst case scenario. And you can look at the price, like what happened. The after repair value is not that high as you think. What happened, and what is the purchase price you should get? So those are the things that you should consider carefully. And if everything looks like it's a good bet, then you can move forward with that very quickly.
Now, I know some flippers will also go and use hard money loans. So I see a loan financing expenses. So can you scroll down just a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can plug in actual. So I see you have points, annualized interest. You can plug in some additional fees.
Correct.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because, a lot of flippers, they don't really use their own money most of the time. They're borrowing money either from a hard money lender to either then flip and sell or refinance down the road, or they're borrowing private money from private investors.
Exactly. So we build that on these tools so that you can kind of enter how much percent of finance you're going to get. Usually you probably get like 70%, depending on your history, whether you have experience doing that. and then interest rate you get usually around like 8 to 12%. So you can change the number on the fly and then see how much you can profit from these investments, this flip. So
okay, now let's say you have a 10-unit building that you're self-managing inside of RentZend. How does that information, will RentZend pull that information
very good questions
and give you the actual analysis on it? How does that work?
So we are building the features that it will track your equity growth on top of your income growth. So income growth is the rents that you collected, and the equity growth is how much the value of your property is on the market. So you can start from RentZend doing the analysis and see, find a property that you like. After you bought that, on the app, we keep track of how the property performs along the years and how much equity you're getting. And down the road, we were able to recommend you, maybe you can use that equity to buy into a bigger units and get more cash flow from the current properties that you have. So we build kind of these features for you so that you can focus on building your portfolios instead of focusing on the day-to-day management activities.
And would a client be able to find a commercial real estate broker through the platform? Or
Yeah,
is that
eventually,
down the road?
yeah, down the road. So right now we are focusing on the residentials, and eventually we are allowing to even invest in commercial real estates.
Okay, that's a pretty neat system. I'm excited to be like helping you guys in any way I can, and I think this is a pretty slick system because I haven't really seen something this simple and easy to use ever, really.
Correct. Yep.
This is nice.
Correct. We have we post this on Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is great resources for contents and everything.
Yeah,
and
for
forum.
real estate. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a very great reviews from our users, and they are using it on day-to-day basis to analyze their deals.
Yeah, their podcast is really good. So for people that are interested in learning more about property management or rentals and investments, Bigger Pockets is a great resource to go to.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is really exciting. So, Kenson,
yeah,
good luck with the company. Thank you for coming on to the podcast. We're going to go ahead and link everything up, including the website where people... Now, this is a desktop version, but can they get the same thing on mobile phone?
They can get the same thing on a mobile phone.
Okay.
And it's the view is shrink. You probably do not get the sliders because it doesn't work that well on a mobile phone. But you can just change the numbers. You can click on the numbers and use it and change the numbers, and then it will reflect the changes on the fly.
But the actual management part of it all is on a mobile phone.
Exactly.
Which is very, very convenient to use because right now I'm using a different software that's mainly desktop. I mean, they have mobile app too, but using your RentZend mobile app is very simplified.
Exactly.
And makes it very easy for people to either manage for others or self-manage. So I'm excited to see where your company goes in the next few years, and good luck, and thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Levin. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.